Welcome, everyone, to this week's Menlo Midweek podcast. My name is Mark.
And I'm Phil. And we're on a couch.
We're on a couch today, everybody.
This is fun.
It is.
If you're just listening to this, we do exist and sit on furniture.
Yeah.
And normally we're on these chairs that are across from each other. Mm-hmm. And now we're
together
on a couch.
We need to act like we like each other.
Well, I was going to sit like pretty close to the edge.
and when I
was sitting here, I was like, it's just the two of us. That's going to feel weird. Yeah. So then I kind of scooched more towards the middle, but then you sat very close to the edge. So now it just looks like you're trying to avoid me.
My goal for the episode is I'll just creep closer and closer to you.
Perfect. That'll be great.
And not tell the listeners that they're just like, why does Phil sound slightly annoyed and disturbed?
Why is he uncomfortable? Yeah, that's
exactly.
Cool. Mark's sitting on my lap right now.
Don't tell him. I don't need to know that. Hey, it was a milestone for you this week that we didn't really talk about yet, but it was your son's birthday.
That's right.
Which means it's the anniversary of you becoming a dad.
That is correct. Yeah, our oldest, Greer, turned 16.
Crazy.
And if you're like, did you get him a car? No. I
didn't even think about that.
Yeah, I'm a pastor.
Does he drive?
He does not drive.
Okay.
He is doing the online thing now to get his permit. Mm-hmm. And once I found out that in California, when you have a licensed driver in your home, you have to insure them on every one of your vehicles.
Oh, really?
I was like, take your time, bro. It's totally fine. So he's had an electric scooter for years, and it was an old style battery. And so for his birthday, we got him a new electric scooter with a new battery.
Which, if you don't know much about Greer, that might be like, you got him a battery for his birthday? He would probably love that.
We got him the whole scooter.
Oh, yeah. Okay. But he would have just loved the battery, to be honest.
Well, his favorite gift might have been a USB cable that you plug in and the tip of the cable where you plug it in to show you that it's connected has a little screen that shows a smiley face.
Oh.
So, and then he got a USB tester. So that is for sure his energy. Yep. Absolutely.
And also kind of your energy.
Yeah. I mean, I like technology, but he gets into that level of geekiness that I'm like, I don't want a USB cable with a smiley face on it, bro.
Dang, how to return your gift then?
I'll just give it to him.
Okay, cool.
So,
perfect.
It is fun. He wanted to do hibachi, like Benihana kind of thing for his birthday. So we went to this place, Sakura, in Redwood City.
I've heard of it.
It's a hibachi place. Mm-hmm. And it was fun. I mean, I feel like once you've been to one hibachi, you've been to all of them.
Sure.
You're like, would you like slightly overpriced, mediocre food, but fun to watch? Yeah.
How much do you want to pay for fried rice?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, that much?
Yep.
Okay, great.
We got you. Yep. So it was actually less than I expected it to be in Redwood City. So, but he had a great time. And then they did a crazy birthday thing where he had to hold an umbrella and they brought out a drum and it all felt very culturally appropriated. But
did he enjoy it?
No. Yeah. He did not want it to happen.
Sound like something he would like.
And then they were like, "Is it somebody's birthday?" And I don't know, one of the kids or maybe Alyssa, somebody was like, "Yeah, it is." And so then he got signed up for it. So it's part of the experience. But you never know, when a kid says, "I don't want that," is it I don't want to want that, but I'm here and I kind of want that, or do I really not want that? So, and then Alyssa she gives the kids choices about what they want for their birthday treat. And so she made Lucky Charms bars. So they're like Rice Krispie treats, but made out of Lucky Charms. So
awesome.
It's great. So good. So we did that. And
fun.
We all have diabetes now. It was a great night.
Yeah. What a great week.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yep.
Nice, man. And this weekend was an ode to hospitality, as well as double-clicking on everything we covered in the series that we just wrapped up this past weekend.
That's
the
right.
Art of Showing Up, culminating in not just inviting people to our table, even though we've covered relationship, we've covered the importance of inviting, but now going a step further and say, don't just invite, but invest.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's one of those unique things to the Bay Area that when I talk to people in other parts of the country and they're like, oh, yeah, man, it's really hard. Somebody just moved away. And I'm like, I think that happens in the Bay Area every 5 minutes. I just think that it's when we were moving here and we were reaching out to companies to help move our stuff, it was like, hey, when can you guys schedule this in? And they were like, we are sending nothing but empty trucks back to California because people are leaving California and not moving there. So basically we can move you there whenever you want. They did not give me a discount.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's like those Cruise America RVs where they're like, oh, the RV's in this middle nowhere. We need to get it back to LA. I'll go. I'll do it.
Yep. No, this was not that. So, but I think just trying to emphasize the value in paralleling Jeremiah 29 of God's heart for his people living in exile, to really plant roots, to really invest when it would be easier to go, it feels so similar to God's people in the Bay Area, so much easier to go than to stay. But I think, when I look around today and I see what God's doing in the Bay Area, and it's incredible, it's because men and women for decades, really for centuries, when it would have been easier to leave, they didn't, and they stayed. And you hear about people that are like, oh, this person stayed and invested at this company, or stayed and invested in this neighborhood, or stayed and invested at this church for 20 years, for 30 years. And Menlo, we have people that are like, oh, I've been coming here for 60 years. And you're just going, wild. And we're here because of their faithfulness. And I think the compound interest of us choosing to stay, I really believe has even greater impact in the future.
Yeah, I agree. And it's all part of that conversation feels like it's pushing against the flow of culture here in the Bay. Everything from that could mean stay at your position longer than longer than it being measured in months, but stay for a year, or try not to rent hop to try to get the next best deal and move so that you can save $100 a month, even though that probably makes a huge difference.
Right.
But all of these things are just so like we're all kind of drifting. We have a natural drift towards transience, and so how do we just actively stay aware that this is what we're swimming in, Phil? And what are some ways in which we can say, okay, you piqued my interest about investing here and planting here. What's my first step?
Well, I think part of it is to just, if you're the person that's like, I'm always on Zillow, like maybe delete Zillow from your phone, or if you're the person that is always on LinkedIn looking for the bigger and best, maybe it's going to be deleting LinkedIn. But we have so many little, I would say, like transient thirst traps. I don't know if that's inappropriate to say it that way.
You're fine.
But it's just like, oh, here's this algorithm or this app, or maybe even it's like this person that every time I have the conversation, it is a temptation to fantasize about the next thing.
Yeah.
And I would just say, like, what would it look like for you, even in prayer, to process, what if you were in the same house that you're in right now a decade from now? What if you were at the same job that you're at right now a decade from now? And maybe you make more money, maybe you don't, but how can you live sustainable? And I think the more we can do that, even if change comes, we'll be more satisfied in our present, more hopeful for our future. And I think the less we do that, the less satisfied we are, even when we get the next thing, because we condition ourselves to transience. I mean, this is for sure me, dude. If I played the script back, if I could go back a decade and describe to myself a decade ago where I live, the car I drive, the amount of money that I make, like my life, I'd be like, oh, that sounds incredible. Like, I'm so excited. That's like, there's some, like, I think all of us just about could go back a decade, maybe for you 20 years, and play it forward. You're like, that's incredible. I mean, I grew up as a Midwest kid in the suburbs of Ohio, and no house was anything like houses here. And I mean, it was just a completely different experience. You were always sort of gearing up and waiting for a terrible winter. Like, it was this weird culture. And to think about where we get to live and where we get to do ministry and the hearts and minds of people that live here, it's such a gift. But I can also very easily get swallowed up, not in like looking backwards with appreciation, but looking around with dissatisfaction. I don't compare myself to the growth that God's done in me. I compare myself to the highlight reels of, what does that person drive? Where does that person live? What job does that person have? And now all of a sudden I feel inferior when like that person's life is different than mine. And I don't know all the other things that are true of their life. I should be less concerned about comparing myself to others and more concerned about what God's doing in me. And, that word comparison, that there's a old preaching line, like, compare is sin, comparison, right? Like for us to compare, it is going to rob us of the kind of hope that God wants us to have.
Yes. Comparison can steal joy in many ways.
Yeah.
And even in circumstances where we can find contentment, it's so easy, like you're saying, to just look at what that person has, look at that car that they drive, and use that as the motivator to then say, I need to find that next job. I need to move into this next house because then I can have people over and then I can host my friends and then I could meet neighbors that I'll actually be planted and stay with. And so it's convicting because it feels like it's so ingrained in being here in the Bay Area in doing all those things. And that's just what it means to be here.
Yeah.
And so trying to redefine that is challenging, of course. And it's also like, okay, this is going to be an uphill fight.
Right.
And we got to lead the way in that.
And I would also say that the people that I know that have a lot and they were strivers to get it, they still, like, I'll go to somebody's house and it's like, oh my gosh, this is incredible. And they're still sort of apologizing or telling me about what they're going to do next. Or like you can tell in them, there's almost like an embarrassment that whatever ideal future they want, they're not in yet. And then the people that I just most respect, whether they have a nice home or it's more humble, you walk in and, like, honestly, the spirit of the home is what you most appreciate. You know, like, you walk in and there's people that genuinely want you to be there and they're kind and it's like a very lived space and you can tell you're welcome to be there, whether that's a mansion in Los Altos Hills or that's a, place a couple streets in East Palo Alto. There is a way for us to actually live in lots of different places. And I think we oftentimes give up the joy of the real for the false hope of the ideal, and the goalposts of the ideal, they just keep moving. They do for me, and you're like,
Absolutely.
well, I had that thing and I thought it would make me happy and it didn't. And so on the week when the new iPhone gets released, we're all acutely aware, like, the thing that was good enough and cutting edge yesterday is now old.
But this one's a couple millimeters thinner.
That's right. Oh my gosh, man. Don't even get me started. I want to talk to the Apple designer that thought that was a good, who's asking for that?
Yeah.
Anyway, it's just fine. We all put cases on them.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's no big deal.
That'll be a different podcast for us.
Yeah.
Smaller couch. Then we'll even be more irritable.
That's we just have random Silicon Valley tech executives come in and we're like, we just call it real customers.
I love
And we
that.
talk to them about the features that they're jamming down our throats that we're like, who asked for this? Well, we had a designer that said that they could do it. Did you ever ask yourself the question, do customers want this? That's the...
Yeah.
Start that podcast up.
Well, our talk was centered in Jeremiah, and it was really a call for us as followers of Jesus that we are all similarly exiles, right? We're all living in a place that's not our ultimate home. And for many of us listening to this, many of us here in the Bay, like, this was not our original home to begin with.
Yep.
Sure, there's a subset of people that were born and raised here. My wife's family is included in that. But the majority of our community here, outside of her family, are all transient. They're all coming from somewhere else. And so how can we be called to live as witnesses in the midst of a place where we have been called to, that we know we might not be able to make our own forever? This is our place for now. How can we not get discouraged by that? Phil, I'm here for a year. I've got my plan, and then my 5-year plan is to do this. Why is it important to really lean and say, yes, that may be true, but also you're here now for a purpose and for a reason?
Yeah, I think that some of it is dissecting in our heart what is the dream I'm aspiring to. I talked a little bit about that in the message, and if you guys don't know this, we run through the message the week before the message, and then we have a conversation with the staff that are a part of that and get feedback to make it better for the weekend and just to process it. And I think both you, Mark, and Allison on our staff, our worship leader at Menlo Park, we're kind of talking about your experiences in this of, like, seeing how this shows up in other people. And I poked at this thing that I think we can do where we take the American dream and we layer it onto our faith.
Yep.
And we go, God, I feel uniquely entitled to this. And I just think that in the Bay Area, the American dream is really, it's kind of a pipe dream a little bit right now. Like, what did she say? I didn't, if you didn't move here when you could buy a house for 11 raspberries, is that what she said?
Yeah, I think so.
Like, if you moved to the Bay,
Which is a very Allison
that's
statement.
the best. It's the best. If you moved to the Bay decades ago and you're like, oh yeah, I got this house for nothing. And if you don't live in the Bay Area, like a house on fire in the middle of train tracks would sell for $1 million. Like, it is just it is a different universe.
And people would offer 1.1 cash.
Yeah. Appraisal wave.
Yeah. Now we're good. We waive the contingencies. It's fine. Yeah.
Yes, exactly
Yeah.
that. So I think you have to say, okay, what are the things that I'm working backwards from of my non-negotiables? And I think that if you're a professional, if you're thoughtful, as Christians, we use terms like stewardship, and then we baptize our 21st century capitalistic, consumeristic goals in the word stewardship. So that means, do my kids have their full college paid for no matter their college? Do I have a healthy, comfortable retirement that lets me live the way I want past a certain age? Do I own a home that I can live with margin as a result of and eventually cash out and do whatever I want with? Do I get to drive standard issue Silicon Valley Tesla no more than 2 years old? Like, I think you may not have it identified that way, but I bet if you did some soul searching, some of what I've just described is not that far off from what you think your future has to hold. And I would just say, man, let that go. Like when Jesus in Matthew 6 is saying, look at the lilies of the field and look at you look at the birds of the sky. God's taking care of them, and I mean, God is very gracious, and Menlo is incredibly kind. Like we're financially compensated to do the jobs that we do. I'm very grateful for that. But when we moved here from Colorado, we made a significant financial sacrifice to make the move. Cost of living is 2.5 to 3 times here what it was there. We went from owning a home to likely never owning a home again. Like that was part of what it was to say this is the call of God on our life, and maybe that changes someday. But I think for us, we had to come to peace with the fact if it doesn't, will I be faithful to God anyway? And so I think if you're wondering what does it look like for me to live, well, I think part of getting out of the holding pattern of like, when will I land or when will I take off? Just land, just take off. Like, just do the things, you know, if you're like, I want to be somebody that really hosts people in my home, do that.
Yeah.
I want to throw a block party. Awesome. Do that. I want to offer my coworker help or support with their kid because I know it's overwhelming for them. Great. Do it. You're like, well, I don't want to overextend myself. Okay, we'll just try one thing. But I think whatever it is that you're going, well, that person's in my life, that's a coincidence. This situation in my life, that's a holding pattern. That thing in my life, I'm just going to spectate. When we understand what it is to be followers of Jesus in exile, you are in exile. If you're a follower of Jesus in the Bay Area, you live in exile. There are no coincidences, there are no spectators, and there are no holding patterns. And so I think if we can do that, there are a lot of things that probably we are waiting on the perfect set of circumstances, and God's saying, you're in those. Do it.
So as someone that has moved quite a bit, both without kids, with kids, what are some lessons or what are some things that you could pass on that maybe someone is that just moved in the area that's listening to this? How can I get my kids plugged into a community? How can I maybe establish roots that are deeper than just this job that I moved for? What are things that have been helpful for you and Alyssa?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think don't wait. We have been in places where families are, like in Colorado, we had a lot of military families that lived near us.
Yeah.
And they were amazing at this. They would get in town, and within days, they were like forming relationships and getting kids on teams. And because they were like, we know we're only going to be here for a couple of years. So we're not going to wait 6 months. Like we've wasted 6 months. Yeah. They got the most connected at church the fastest. And so it was really sweet. Even if it was just a couple of years, you got a really great experience with them for a couple of years. I also think that my encouragement would be, you want your kids to do cool, fun stuff. And the instinct can be, well, I'm going to get my kid involved in like a bunch of things. But I think the more stuff we can get that's in the community where our kids live that they do, you start to cross-pollinate. So like if you go, one of the reasons I love multi-site is because if you go to Menlo in your community, it's likely that your child, your kid or student will go to school in the community with kids that they see in kids ministry or in student ministry. And if you have them play on a team that's in that community, they're probably going to be playing with kids that are in your neighborhood or a neighborhood over. And if you're like, well, my kid needs to be on the club team because they're going to be pro. I mean, like, I don't know you, and I don't know your story, and I don't know your child. but I've been doing this for I've walked with students and families for 25 years, and I can count on one hand the number of them that went pro, and unfortunately, a couple of those where it was an absolute mess because they learned to be really good athletes and not really good people. And so, yeah, my encouragement would be wherever you can get involved quickly, wherever you can cross-pollinate and focus more on quality than quantity. I think that stuff matters so much.
Yep.
I love the communities that we're in because so much of Silicon Valley is like walkable. Just walk, pray, like see the same people. I walk when I don't have to take Maisie to school. I walk the same path to work most days. And even like on days off, I'll just go for a walk in the morning. I'll take one of the boys with me or a couple of our little boys with me. And I mean, there are people that I say hello to, the same people every day. And we're in this rental, our house gets worked on. I guarantee you that some of those people are like, I hope he's okay. Because like it's just consistent presence. What does it look like to be consistent presence? And then I think across Menlo, if the thousands of people that call Menlo home were committed to being a loving presence, to being ambassadors, thoughtful witnesses in our neighborhoods, in our workplaces, at our schools, man, that'd be amazing.
Yeah.
And not headphones in, online order, Uber Eats, don't interact with humans, but like I'm going to just be genuinely the bar has never been lower.
Yeah.
The bar has never been lower. I walked into a grocery store today and ordered something. I got like a sandwich or something. I was in a hurry, and I'm at the checkout counter, and it was on Foothill in Mountain View or something.
Yeah.
And it was the coldest. It was the coldest grocery store I've ever been in my life. It was so cold. And so it's like two kids that were working. I mean, they were probably 25. I'm old, but they were like in the checkout area. And I'm like, hey, how you doing? They're like, oh, okay, how are you? And I go, hey, can I just say something? I said, I've been in a lot of grocery stores. This is the coldest building I've ever been in. And she looks at me, and she looks at the like guy that was helping with bagging, and she looks at him like, see, I told you.
Yeah.
And she looks at me, and she's like, thanks for saying that. You know, and I was like, the bar couldn't be lower. Just like be Jesus-loving humans in the places that you live. And so is it more than that? Yes. But it's not less than that.
Yeah.
So
there's something too about the bar being low, but also people be like craving connection as well.
yeah.
Like the person that's out doing yard work in front of their house, they might look busy, but I bet you if you said, hi, how you doing? Your like yard looks great. They would probably take their gloves off and talk to you for a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And it's just, it's crazy that it's encompassing, it's the current of here pulling us into transiency, into isolation is so easily disrupted by something that can be so simple.
Yeah.
Just by saying hi.
Well, if you think about the life of ministry,
Yeah.
he lived in a highly walkable culture
Yeah.
where he was interruptible.
Yeah. Jesus could have rode horses.
Right.
He didn't.
And he was kind
Yeah.
to the people around him. Mm-hmm. And so I think in Silicon Valley, this is not true everywhere. Like Midwest, not walkable. Not walkable.
Yeah, that's true.
Everything's 20 minutes from itself. And so to be in a place that is, I just think is like a really unique gift. And I've lived in a bunch of places. I've lived in upstate New York. I've lived in Ohio. I've lived in Colorado. I've lived in Texas. I've lived in Seattle. And like, we don't know, especially if you've been in Silicon Valley for a while, like you don't know how good you have it. There are some things about this place that are so special. Mark and I both ride bikes. I've never been able to ride bikes in as beautiful a place any day of the week. Dude, it is unreal. It's incredible. And so I think just being able to honestly kind of worship by being grateful for where we get to live and then trying to be sensitive to where God would ask me to invest. And, I think we're at a time in a space where lots of people might go, well, I want to change the world. I want to make a statement about this political candidate or that party or what's going on in the national election. And I think over and over and over again, what we see is that like where real change is happening that we can affect in real time, it's city council of your city. It's the school board of your kid's school. It's changing things in your neighborhood. And it doesn't mean if you're called to something At a bigger scale, you shouldn't do it. But I think for a lot of us, we feel so paralyzed, but what we can't do nationally that we do nothing locally. And I wonder what would happen if there was a groundswell of Jesus followers trying to do something locally.
Yeah, definitely. And I loved the analogy that you used in your message about planting and not immediately thinking, okay, I planted this seed yesterday.
Yeah.
Now my fruit's going to be available tomorrow. But there is something to say, hey, you should probably start planting those seeds now so that you can water them, so that you can tend to them, so that those roots can get established. And so that in 6 months, even if your tenure here is 2 years, a year,
Right.
you at least have 6 months where fruit is possible.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and I think it's funny to talk to people. It's not everywhere, but to talk to some people in businesses and stuff around here where I was talking to a guy at a company and he was like, oh, he's the new guy. He's only been here a month. And I mean, he was talking like a vet. And I was like, oh man, how long have you been here? He's like, oh, I've been here 8 months. And I was like, oh. I was like,
Okay.
is that pretty long? And he's like, oh yeah, it's super long for us. And they're like, okay. I mean, that's a wild statement, but that tells me something about your company.
Mm-hmm.
And I think being able to recognize there is an accelerating factor because so many people leave. I mean, now I still feel like the new guy to the Bay Area, but I'm like, I've been here almost 3 years. And I can tell when I meet somebody new, they're like, "Oh, you made it, 3 years. That's impressive." Because that's just the way people think about the Bay Area. And I do think that we have to resist the urge to look for instant fruit. It's like when you start a workout plan in January, and the second day after you work out, you're weighing yourself and you're checking to see if you have a six pack. Like you have not lost weight and you do not have a six pack. Like check again in 5 months. And I think some of this is the same of you're going to plant relational seeds and try and invest in a community and love people well and be present for your neighbors, coworkers, and classmates and check again in 6 months.
Yeah, I love that. I also love that there are so many opportunities that we're doing in now and into the fall where people can have the opportunity at any point to come and say, hey, I want to plant some seeds here with some great people. We have things going on. Like this past weekend, we had our volunteer fair, where if you might have missed this past weekend, that's okay. We've always have spaces for you on our volunteer teams. We cannot do the things that we do without our volunteers, without you. And so talk to anyone about that. We'd love to know where you can fit in, how we could utilize the skills that God has given you to help build his church. But also just like from my own experience, when I moved to Japan, I started going to a church there that I liked. It was different. It was weird. There was nothing about it that felt familiar. And so I attended for a bit. And it wasn't until there was one night where I was coming home late after I was teaching English at the time. I had to teach night classes that night. Came back. It was raining really bad. So I was like, all right, I'll stop in the church and dry off because it's halfway.
Fantastic.
Yeah. They're setting up for Christmas. And so I was like, okay, cool. Like, I'll come in. Do you guys need any help? And then they were like, yeah, we're just prepping our stage. So can you help us like move some stuff and take some tape off? And then I did that, said bye, and then got an email that I was now the newest member of their stage team.
Amazing, dude.
So that was my first ever like formal serving like at a church, was on our stage team. And so I did that for years after that. I just helped prep the stage, and it was just by chance, but the relationships that I made by showing up and having a team to meet with and pray with and check in. Hey, how are your classes this week? How's basketball going? It's like, oh, these people actually care about me more so than am I just taking tape off the stage?
Totally. Yeah,
and that really honestly, it sparked my growth, and it sparked my curiosity towards, hey, maybe I should do this. Maybe I can do this when I get back home.
Well, and I took a little bit of a shot at cynicism this last weekend, and I think that in church world, it is so easy for cynicism to grow when we live as consumers. Because like that's just what we're used to doing. You know, like we're used to this should be this way. I've had it this way. I've experienced it better, whatever. And the moment you're serving, not only do I think it changes the way you experience it because you're not experiencing it strictly as a consumer, you're a contributor now. Yep. I also think it puts you shoulder to shoulder with no matter what campus you're at or honestly what church you're at, probably some of the best people at that church, people that really do care. They're praying people, they're invested. And so, one of the things we say a lot is like the fastest way to find your people is to join the team and serve. And I can think about individuals serving at all of our campuses who are just like some of the best people I've ever met.
Yep.
And I'm like, I want to stand shoulder to shoulder with them. Like, I want to help with them. They're going to make me better, And so, I think it was fun to see teams be able to hopefully be a little bit more kind of exposed and open, welcoming, and inviting people to consider. It was great.
And then this weekend coming up, we have you have, Phil, volunteer bosses, which I think is a funny concept.
Yeah, yeah.
And we're voting in 3 new volunteer bosses.
Yeah.
So let's
Technically,
talk.
they get drafted.
Yeah, I guess
They're
so, huh?
drafted volunteer bosses. Yeah.
So what the heck are we talking about? What is this coming weekend?
Amazing.
Why should people show up for
That was such a good segue, dude. That was incredible. So if you're listening to this podcast, I think you've already been able to see the conversation that we had. That Mark was actually behind the scenes pulling the strings, helping make that go as well as it did. So thank you very much.
You're welcome.
But that was Janie, Maddie, and Kevin from Janie's in Saratoga, Maddie's in Menlo Park, Kevin's up in San Mateo. They are 3 new elders being considered that we will vote on as a church on the 21st, this upcoming Sunday. And if you're a covenant partner, which is our term for membership, you'll have a chance to vote for them online, or your campus will have a way for you to do that in person if you'd prefer. And it's a chance for us, that group, it's kind of a smaller group, think like 8 to 10, that throughout the year they do primarily 3 things. One, they provide financial oversight, what I call fiduciary responsibility for Menlo. So they're looking at financial reports, overseeing and like making sure that our third-party audit that we do every year gets performed well, whatever we need to do to maintain good, healthy structure. They even help with our finance team on some stuff. They're great. And then strategic alignment, especially around our ministry plan. They help us think about and pray about the future of Menlo. And then congregational care in terms of we have elders at every campus. And so they can talk about, hey, here's what we're seeing, thinking, feeling, and sensing that we need to be thinking about as a wider church. So those elders, they pray together 3 times a week on a virtual meeting on a Zoom call. And then we get together once a month for an extended conversation meeting. We have a couple retreats during the year where we'll do like kind of prayer and planning stuff. It's a really, really sweet group. And yeah, they are my bosses. So when I get my performance review, which I recently got, or when I get my mid-year review, it's the elders that have written that together. And it's a really fun group. So that's part of what we'll do on Sunday for what's historically been a separate meeting called the Annual Congregational Meeting. But we've incorporated it into our services so that you don't have to drive to Menlo Park after services on a Sunday. And then we'll also update our bylaws, which all this information you can find at menlo.church/connect. But we're not changing any of our theology or really any of our polity, like the way we do church. But our bylaws were kind of a combination. They got Frankenstein from before we joined a new denomination a little over a decade ago, and before and after that, and before multi-site and after multi-site. So we weren't even living in consistency to our own bylaws. And then some of it is like taking the policies that, if you care, you don't normally have policies and bylaws, you have policies and policies. So we're pulling out some of those policies and just putting them in regular policies and having our bylaws do just the things that bylaws should do, modernized and consistent to where we are as a church right now. And if you're a covenant partner, you'll get to vote to confirm those changes as well. So, and then I'll give a little bit of a kind of state of the church snapshot in the midst of the message. So it's a fun week. It's cool to be able to dive into it. And if at any point, whether it's before or during that day, you have questions, you can submit them at menlo.church/connect. And then Mark and I will, I'll teach 3 times. Mark will produce 3 times. Both of us will pound a Red Bull and then come over here into this room after church. We'll record a podcast, I think maybe with one of the elders. I can't remember.
Yep.
And we'll answer those questions. and then release that podcast on Sunday afternoon. So if you needed to answer to one of those questions before you felt comfortable voting, you could get that on the day of the vote. So all that swimming, it's a fun thing. Thanks for all your, like, Mark has done so much work. Carly's done a great job just supporting all of that. There's a ton of communication stuff behind the scenes about adding things to the website and getting things out. And then our elders have also done listening sessions and Q&A things for the bylaws stuff at every campus. So it's been a long road to get where we're going. The bylaw updates, Kristen Woods, one of our elders, has led a subcommittee for our elders to update our bylaws. And it's really been a 2-year process. So it's been a great process. Very grateful to be where we are and looking forward to the weekend.
Yeah. Well, shout out to them.
Shout out.
Shout out to you, Phil, for doing the last 5 minutes with me on your lap and making it sound
amazing.
Sound great. If you need any prayer and encouragement this week, you can text our team, 650-600-0402. Have a great week, everybody. We'll see you soon.
See you. Great callback.